Hello guys, how are we doing? Are you an SMG who's looking to sharpen their skills with the gun, or are you an AR trying to master a new weapon within Modern Warfare 2 rank play? If so, this video is hopefully for you. I'm going to be going through the best tips and tricks I can provide as someone who's been using SMG to get to Iridescent in both seasons, in hopes to make you guys better players as well. I'm probably not going to have time to cover everything. I'm going to be covering things specific to all three game modes, as well as just general tips and tricks to hopefully make you guys a better SMG player. The first things first, I want to start with the general tips, and the obvious one is going to come, obviously, as make sure you guys have the right car setup. So I like to suggest having a Semtex, because when you're in SMG, you want to be playing that faster pace, and a frag grenade just doesn't allow for that as well. So make sure you have your Semtex, make sure you have double time to enable yourself to get around the map a little bit quicker. And finally, make sure you've got the right attachments on the gun. So I recommend Ultrasat stock, True Tac grip, shark fin underbarrel, and that's all I run. But the optional additional attachment always is the spiral muzzle, which just helps with the aim and stability, but it does decrease your ADS speed. The gameplay I've got in the background is actually me using the no muzzle variation of the what I've just said, and I dropped 40 and 15 or something like that, so it's a pretty good gameplay nonetheless. This was at the start of this split, so I'm still in diamond at this point, which is why we're playing people who aren't quite should be matching up to this. But anyway, another tip I just want to say is that the general consensus, obviously I'm going to do an AR tip going into as a neck tips and tricks video, but general consensus is that generally speaking, you want to be using the gun to its advantages. So you're not going to win gunfights against ARs. You don't want to, contest people who you are just simply going to beam you because you don't have the gun that's suitable for it, such as that. You want to be making sure that no matter what situation you're in, no matter what game mode you're in, you want to be taking the engagements to you in close range areas. So let's talk about hardpoint first. If you're in hardpoint, it's not always the SMG's job to sit in the hill, especially on this game. If you're on hardpoint, make sure the hills where they're really enclosed, you're the one sitting in them. So for example, on this map here, this hardpoint specifically, SMGs are going to be the people that you want to get sat on hill, whereas that is going to play out a bit more. However, the P2 and potentially P1, you're going to want your ARs to be going a bit roamy, and your ARs to be your SMG, sorry, to go a bit more roamy amongst the map, and then your IRs be the guys sat on the hill. So it does vary. Again, it just simply comes down to, I'm not going to go through every single map and hardpoint, but generally speaking, it comes down to how close are the engagements when you're actually in the hill. If it's in a small room, you're going to want SMGs on the hill. If it's in like a large open area such as this one here, you're going to want your ARs on the hill, holding the hill from the point. So while we're talking about hardpoint, let's cover the two main roles that SMGs tend to have when playing this game mode. You've got the roamer / slayer sort of point of view, where you're doing what I'm doing pretty much here, where I'm running about the map. I know where the enemy team is spawning. I know where the hardpoint is, so I'm trying to be that obstacle between their spawn and the hardpoint, popping deady, being really difficult for them to deal with. That's only good if your ARs are blocking the spawns behind you, because otherwise you'll flip them out. So it is essentially you're aware of what the other players are doing on the map. But if you're happy that your ARs on your team are blocking the spawns, or you've got someone blocking the spawns, doesn't have to be the AR, you can be that roaming slayer. You're getting the kills, you're getting the engagements, and really you're being that thing in the back of the enemy's head where they're always concerned about you. They're thinking, right, where's Harrz? Where are they looking? We need to get them out of bedroom, for example. So there's that sort of role, which is very effective. It does get you a lot of engagements, a lot of kills, and a lot of score. But then you've got the other side of the coin here, where you've got the player who does the dirty work. So if you guys watch the CDL, the guys who are doing the slaying are more like the Shotzzy, the Pred, those sort of players. And then you get the dirty work players. So you have Mac for Seattle Surge, you get Simp, those sort of players who do the dirty work, who do the work that people don't want to do. And the best SMG duos are the types of players who can do both things. So in certain circumstances, one SMG can push through and be that slayer role, and the other times that same person can then also be the dirty worker. So the dirty worker essentially is where you're the one baiting, you're the one getting into the hills first, calling out for your teammates where they are, getting hill time when the hill's in this enclosed room, and generally speaking being the thing, doing the work that the other guys don't really want to do, filling the gap where needs be. Yeah, so they're the two roles you're going to come across in hardpoint. Again, if you are that slayer sort of role and you do want to slay, make sure you've got someone make sure the hill, first of all, is covered by someone who should be in it. So if it's a small room, make sure it's an SMG player. And then let your ARs go out and be the block between the spawn and the point. But yeah, if your ARs are happy in hill and you're all good to go, then obviously feel free to fly out. But when you're in that baity player, when you're doing the dirty work, it's important to stay by another player so they can at least get your trade. Because if you're baiting, if you're trying to enter the hill first, you need to make sure that you're there and you've got someone behind you to back you up. Because otherwise, you're just doing work. You're just giving them a free kill without any sort of extra info or kills on your side. When it comes to S&D, this sort of goes without saying. Depends on how you're playing. If you're sort of trying to set up in a passive way, so you're just playing for a bit of info, you're trying to just lock down the map, you're not letting anyone through to your spawn and you're just waiting for them to make a wrong turn. You want to be the one watching the close quarters. So for example, I don't know, let's take Fortress, our Bagra Fortress, and the SMG, you don't really want the SMG to be sat on the P2 heady, which is the like the stage. You don't want the SMG there because at the end of the day, every single gunfight they have is going to be detrimental to them, especially if it's going to be against an AR. You want to be sat maybe bottom R around top rails, generally small engagements, and you want to be making sure that you're not taking on gunfights. Obviously, if you pick up an AR afterwards, feel free to fly wherever you want, because at the end of the day, you can press Y and you can be the perfect hybrid player. That's the ideal world. But in S&D, you want to be locking down the lanes that you are guaranteeing you can win the gunfights. There is no harm at all in turning away from a gunfight, repositioning, and then making sure that it's in your favour. But generally speaking, you want to be taking gunfights so you know you can win. Some of us ego chow, but hey, what can you do? When you're frying, you're frying. Another good thing you can do as an SMG on S&D is slay. So Deady is typically something that only SMG players have, which is why they're so good at roaming and being that slayer player between the hard points. But on S&D, if you get Deady and you've got a sub, get yourself into the enemy, like Fortress, you know, get yourself into the enemy building, try and be a bit annoying, find the gaps within their defenses, get behind them, get a few kills, turn heads and be a distraction. The ARs can then play, progressively make up the map and then get the plant or, you know, get the defuse, and then from there things are good. When it comes to control, we're going to be sort of following the same logic here, and this is because this is generally the rule. So obviously, let's take, I don't know, LSCLO. It's a very AR dominant map, but the SMG role is you know where they're spawning, you know where their objective is, make sure they can't get to it. That's literally it. Be the person in between where they're spawning and the objective, and be annoying. Pop Deady, make sure you're unreadable, move around, get a kill, move, get a kill, move. Be that annoying player. You've all probably had it against you before. Say LSCLO, you've got someone with a certain SMG around that green building or white building or grannies, whatever you guys want to call it. It's annoying having someone there, especially if you need to capture B. If B's the only one on that LSCLO map that you need to capture and you've got an SMG on the other team sat around green, they're going to be a nightmare. They're going to be shooting you in the back. They're going to be sat in the corner waiting for you, especially if they've got Deady. So that's the sort of role you want to be playing. While one, say for example, you've already got an SMG doing that, the other SMG can be sort of sat close to the hill, making sure that they can pick someone off really quickly. You're sat in a corner, being cruddy, doing the dirty work that the other team don't want you to do. You sort of sit in the roles that you do, similar to when you're playing hardpoint. But yeah, the general consensus, the general rule, it's a very general. You want to be taking on gunfights that are close range. You want to be sat in hills on hardpoint that are in rooms rather than open spaces. And if they are open space hardpoints, or you've already got someone in the hill and your teammates are blocking, so you can't flip, run around, slay a little, get some kills, be that annoying player. You guys have probably all come across teams where they've had a really good SMG and you just can't get them out of your head. They're just that annoying player. You can't do anything about it. And yeah, I hope these tips have helped. I know they're very generalized, but obviously it's so situational. Different things work in different places. But yeah, I hope you found it useful. I hope the logic sort of makes sense. And if nothing else, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. So yeah, there's a little 40 bomb for you there with a little bit of an aggressive action on the Hotel Hardpoint. So yeah, without further ado, that'll do it, and I will catch you in the next one. Ciao.
I saw 3 on the kill feed. Yeah. Oh, 40-13. Well played.
I didn't get much hill.
Well played. 40 seconds is plenty.
I didn't get 300 for that. Oh, you skipped, so I couldn't see.
Fuck.